Hey guys, welcome to Tone Bros. My name's Casey.
I'm Colin. We're going to get started with our current topic of the day, which is all about Ross.
It's about Ross, the end of Ross.
The end, well, as we
Again.
know it now.
Yeah, for now, right?
The JHS Ross.
Yeah. So I've been kind of watching the fallout of this whole thing. So Josh announced that it was ending. He done like Josh Scott, the owner of JHS. He done like a big live stream whenever they were blowing the pedals out at like $79 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
There's been videos, I forgot the guy's name, John Cordy, I think's the guy's name.
Yep.
That had like a breakdown talking about if pedal manufacturers were ripping us off.
Right.
Josh went back with a rebuttal.
I know, I saw that.
And then I just saw the other day that John kind of basically apologized.
So we're doing a video about a video which was interpreted by a video, and there's a new video.
No.
Absolutely not.
No. So I actually wanted to talk. I think it's interesting because all that stuff's going on with the Ross stuff.
Right.
But actually, I think the point I want to talk about, because I wrote this down on the list of things to talk about as soon as it hit like announcements, basically.
Uh-huh.
And I watched the first Josh Scott video on JHS's site about it.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how there were multiple manufacturing companies that he had kind of played with bringing back.
Right.
Out of, oblivion, I guess. And Ross was just the first one he went with.
Well, it wasn't the first, actually, because he had tried other companies. It just didn't pan out.
Yeah, correct. It's the first one that he actually made happen.
Made happen, yeah.
Yeah. And he had ideas for trying other companies and doing it with other companies. And in that video, he said basically that stuff is scratched. It's gone. It will never see the light of day. Any of those other companies.
Right. He said he's done with trying to bring companies back to life.
And I think he's made a massive mistake with that, in my opinion.
Really?
I think Ross is really cool, right, guys? Let's not deny the lineage of Ross and what's came from Ross pedals and how cool they are.
Mm-hmm.
The thought of him coming out with Ross pedals again as a standard line of pedals that you could buy off a site for, I forgot how much exactly they were whenever they were initially buying, like $180, $190, right around $200.
Yeah, it was right around 200.
Buying those as like a standard pedal, I think was the mistake. Him bringing back old brands is genius, and I think he should absolutely do it. But I think the fact of him bringing them back as like a production line is where it's a mistake. He made those limited edition pedals, like the fuzzes and different things he was putting out there for a little while. I forgot exactly. They were like done by numbers, like 1966 or 1968 or whatever. They were very limited numbers. I think they were hand wired. They were very specifically made, and they sold great, and it went over really well. I think he's missing being able to bring those companies back, because he was talking about Ross, and they only made a small number of pedals in each iteration. He was like the 5th iteration of Ross, basically,
right,
to bring him back. And he sold more pedals in his basically 1 year, year and a half, whatever it was, than any other iteration of Ross. So it was not really a failure. It was just a failure as a production line.
So you're thinking he should do it, but as a limited run?
Yeah, I think he should bring them back bring them back exactly like they were if he wants to do that. Or like he done with this, the distortion. He kind of brought a pedal out that's like, well, if Ross done a distortion, it would be something like that. Yeah, fuzz. And I think that if he done that with those other companies, like what if he brought back some of these awesome companies that he loves to pieces?
Well, I think he's over it.
I know he's over it.
I don't think it's going to happen regardless.
It's not going to happen because he got bit by this.
Right.
But I think the approach was kind of wrong. When it came out, there was a lot of buzz about it, and then it completely fell off.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think it's sustainable for like Ross, a company like Ross, to stay in.
So my personal feelings about this, I don't think you're wrong. I think a limited series, or maybe just like make them as needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's probably hard to do with how their company works. It probably, you know what I mean? Like it probably doesn't fall in line with kind of their business model.
Right.
So I don't know if that's the right angle. But my thing is, if you bring something back like Ross, I really appreciate he was like hardcore. It has to be the same colors, the recessed knobs.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. But I think if you're going to bring it back, you also have to be practical on their bigger boxes. They could have, shrunken them down a bit to be more, MXR Phase 90,
Yeah.
size. I think he could have maybe changed, I thought he did cool on the feature set and he was really true to the old circuits and everything, but maybe giving them a little life, with some newer features.
Yeah.
So I honestly feel like the reason why Ross, the whole, resurgence of that didn't go well is because they were bigger enclosures. They did one job that was very specific and didn't have a whole lot of, there were no presets. You know what I mean? Like, it just wasn't a lot of feature-friendly pedals. Also at a $200 roughly price point. So I think he was looking at, like, I just want to be true to the sound and bring it back. But if he was introducing it as a full line, he'd probably need to rebrand, essentially. Which from the sounds of it, he's not a big fan of, especially if you're bringing something back. Which I respect. But I just don't think his idea and what the market wanted were the same. And that's kind of even what he said in those videos is like, I made a misstep. I learned from it. I won't do it again. I don't know if that's necessary. Like, think of Diamond pedals. Like, they just had this, rebrand essentially, and they made them smaller. And there's more features on there. Now, I don't know how they're doing as far as, as soon as they've came out, I don't know if they've done really well or not. But I think you have to do almost something like that. Whereas you got to make them more feature friendly.
Yeah, and the Ross pedals, I don't know if you realize this or not, but the Ross pedals basically fit in the same enclosure size as this. They look way bigger, but they're not.
They're not?
They're basically this size, like a little bit bigger, a little bit wider.
Okay.
But they look way bigger.
They do.
I think that was a perception thing for a lot of people. They really thought they were way bigger, because I kind of thought that when I first saw them. Mm-hmm. And I see where you're coming from with it. And JHS's model is set up for production. It's set up to mass produce these pedals. And I get that that's kind of what they were hoping to do with Ross. I just think with a company bringing them back like this, it's not really an option if you're bringing them true to spec. I think to bring them back in limited runs, I think it would work really well. I also think bringing them back in super high quality kind of is like a JHS custom shop version.
Right.
Like, it's basically, you got to call in to order it, and we're not going to make it unless it's ordered.
Right.
But then how many people are you going to, have order it?
Well, then you got to buy all the parts for it, and then, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know if that's feasible for them.
Yeah. And where's the price point going to be? Is that going to be a $400 pedal then?
I think Josh is doing the right thing. I mean, he's saying he's done, just it's not feasible, and then he can't, like, focus on his own line because he wasn't. I mean, you think about the JHS new pedals. It's been hard drive, Paul Gilbert, this violet pedal. I think they got this new version of I don't know if it's a new version or new color on the color box.
Yeah.
But, like, they haven't released a whole lot.
Yeah. They've released 3 pedals in like a month, basically. 4 if you count that new version of the color box.
But I think also it's because they have had more time.
Yeah, because they weren't working on the Ross stuff. Because they weren't.
So I think he's making the right move. You got to build up your own brand. You know what I mean? And if somebody wants to pick up Ross, which, they probably will, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's up to them. But I think JHS does need to focus on themselves a bit more. Not that there's anything wrong with JHS. I think they're an amazing company. But I just don't think it wasn't done maybe the right way. But
yeah, Flight Time is that delay pedal's the other one that came out recently.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, and kind of in that same aspect, Jackson Audio is the ones that picked up doing full tone. Is that right?
I have no idea.
I believe Jackson Audio is the one that's doing full tone pedals now that Mike Fuller isn't doing them, and they're basically doing their line. I think there's a way to do these, but trying to come out with mass production pedals like this, whenever you've got your whole other pedal line, like you said, you're right. I mean, he's got his hands full already.
I think, honestly, you take the Brian Wampler approach. I mean, this guy, he has his own pedals. When he sees, the TS10 is outrageously priced. Well, let me just do mine, and then I can put a mod on there to make it different, but also stay true to the vintage thing. Yeah. Like, You should almost take the Brian Wampler approach.
Yeah. Yeah, man, Wampler stuff
Because,
is
I mean,
so good.
Ross stuff, think about it. Like, everybody's there for the course and the compressor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
like, not a lot of people are getting anything else.
Do you think if he would have come out with a different brand, that it would have been much different? If he would have tried to bring back an old brand in the full line, like no matter what it was, do you think if he was bringing back, the DoD grunge pedal line, or like, obviously that's not going to happen, but you know what I'm saying? Something like that. Do you think it would have been different outcome? Or do you think that it wouldn't have mattered? Any of those other brands would have all kind of felt, with the same fate?
I mean, I can't think of because you almost want to think about a big name that made a big impact that is not making pedals today. And I just don't, I'm trying to rack my brain on what those would be, and I'm thinking way huge. Oh wait, that's picked up by Dunlop.
Yeah, Dunlop's somebody that, and he mentioned that Dunlop's somebody that's done it really well.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think they're such a big company now. It's
yeah,
the little nuts and bolts of how the business company works and everything. I mean, I think they can take the hit. You know what I mean?
Well, and also I think those companies, they've been putting out new versions, new pedals. They did take Way Huge, and they did take Crybaby, and they took all that other stuff. But whenever they've done that, they put out new things. Mm-hmm. Way Huge is putting out a new pedal, a couple times a year at least.
Right.
So, yeah, maybe he just doesn't have the time to dedicate towards it.
I don't think JHS is a big enough company yet to take on stuff like this.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Or their business model just doesn't fit it.
I just hate the fact that he's completely given up on it, because I do think there's a way to do it. Because I'm a sucker. You guys probably know at this point, I'm such a sucker for some of these vintage style pedals. You think of some of these Color Sound pedals and all the different companies out there that we've lost, mm-hmm. that are basically not made anymore. And if you try to find one on the used market, either A, they were made so poorly that you have to repair them all the time, and they're expensive. B, that it would be cool to have a newer version of it out.
Yeah.
But I do understand why he shut down the Ross line. Maybe it didn't make sense. But, I don't know. I would like to see some of those brands come back.
I think we will. I mean, it's kind of like, we've talked about this before, but everything's a sequel in movies. And people want to resurge, kind of past stuff. I mean, it's inevitable. It's going to come back around. But I don't know if it'll be JHS. It'll probably be somebody else.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and move into the next topic. We normally do a main topic at this point, and we are going to do a main topic, but our main topic is going to be a follow-up.
Yep.
We kind of talked about this a while back, and it was a gas or pass for us. Mm-hmm. And I think it was a gas for me. And I don't remember if it was a gas for you or if it was a pass for you.
I think I passed on this one.
Yeah, and then we talked about it also as I was kind of selfish and was talking about practice setups. Mm-hmm. We talked about this then also. But we are going to do a follow-up to the Boss IR-2. IR-2 is a pedal that I ended up picking up for a few reasons. Mm-hmm. I wasn't for sure how it was going to work out for me, but I picked it up with the hopes that it could work as a practice tool for me. I was hoping that it would also work for a backup for my amp if it ever went down. Mm-hmm. So the IR-2, after playing it a while, I've had it for a few months now and played it enough to kind of feel pretty good about giving a little bit of a review on it, I guess. So it does. A lot of people think that it's doesn't have reverb in it. It does have reverb in it. It has 3 different modes of reverb. You can
see, and that's something I didn't realize.
Which is awesome. It's got your standard bass, middle, treble. It's got a gain and a level, which is great. And then it's got multiple modes here of amps. Everything from just clean to blackface twins to tweeds up to all kinds of mod stuff. It's got everything you would ever need as an amp models in there. Mm-hmm. Just on the pedal alone, it's got you can switch between 2 channels and it auto saves for you. So you set your settings to whatever you like, and you've got either a green or red LED depending on which channel you're on. You step on it again, and you're into the other mode. You set it however you want, and after 2 or 3 seconds, it auto saves again. So there's no weird hold function. You're set up to go. Mm-hmm. It does have a headphones jack, which was a huge seller for me because I wanted to play it and be able to use headphones with it and basically be able to practice silently. You got a channel select input that you can go into and switch between them, and you've also got a full effects loop in it also. Okay. So We are not big modeling type people. We're not a big amp in the box
We
type
try to
people.
avoid it at all costs.
I definitely do. But there's a few times where it completely makes sense. For practice, it really makes a lot of sense. I honestly sit down and practice with just my guitar acoustically. Like using an electric guitar, just playing acoustically
Right.
to music a lot more than I do anything else.
Right.
However, whenever I'm getting ready to get like going for a gig and have a set list to work on, I kind of want to start getting my sounds to my board together. And I don't always have the luxury of being able to play my amp at the volumes I want to with things going on in the house or wherever I'm at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another great option to kind of get that together.
Yeah.
And also, I wanted to have some type of backup without carrying that amp around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, carrying a second amp around. So I did not plan on using this as my first line for anything whatsoever. The long and short of this thing is, it was a gas for me a while back. I picked it up, bought it, took it home, and honestly, I think it's the best gear purchase I've made all year. It's amazing. It's really incredible.
Mm-hmm.
The sounds and tones I'm getting from it are exactly what I need. Are they going to blow you away? No. They're not going to like knock your socks off like, oh my gosh, I want to use this instead of my real amp.
Yeah.
However, with headphones on or plugged into the mains, it sounds pretty dang convincing. Like
Yeah.
it sounds great.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same responsiveness, I would say, as an amp.
Right.
You know, nothing.
That's kind of the things with IRs and cab simulators and stuff like that. It just, to me, it doesn't feel like the same responsiveness with the guitar.
Yeah, and with pedals and stuff, I do notice that like how I set up. If I set my deluxe reverb up at like a certain level, where it's either not breaking up or it's starting to break up, and I set the pedal the exact same way, the pedals, you know, my delays and overdrives don't play the exact same way.
Right.
I do have to adjust them slightly.
Yeah.
However, it's pretty minor, and as in a practice tool, that thing is incredible. Plug my headphones in there. It can run on a 9-volt battery for like 4 hours, I think, something like that on a 9-volt battery, which is not super long, but that'll get you through a gig.
Get you through.
Obviously, it'll take power and do all that stuff, but I think it's probably the best purchase I've made all year. And it's a Boss pedal. I would not be worried about chucking it across the room and picking it back up and plugging it in.
Yeah.
They're made so robust. It's exactly what I wanted in a backup. So I throw it in my little gig bag with me whenever I take off somewhere. And of course, I'm using my amp for my normal stuff. However, if something goes down, a tube goes out, anything, I don't have to rummage around trying to find a tube. I don't have to find a fuse. I don't have to drag another amp out and move a mic or do anything. I can literally just plop this down with an extra cable, plug it in, and go right to the mains, and I'm back to playing in less than 4 minutes, you know. And then, yeah, the sounds really are good. I don't want to discount the sounds.
Yeah.
Now, I said, you know, they're not going to blow you away. They sound great.
Right.
I mean, as in amp sounds and like IR simulated amp sounds, they really are great. They've done a great job. You can load your own IRs in here, get some different cabs going. I have not messed with any of that. I've just been using the stock stuff because it's a backup and practice tool for me.
I was curious. So you were talking about the cabs and you can change it up. Is it the same cab in each of those amp settings, or does that change?
No, every time you change the amp setting, it's got a specific one.
Okay.
So whenever you turn it to the twin blackface, it's set up for a 2x12 cab with with Jensen's in it.
So it's not like a 1x12, just whatever.
Nope. Every single one's got a different IR.
Okay.
And I think they're like approved Celestian IRs and stuff
Right.
like that. It's
Yeah, I
not,
did see that.
Yeah. So I was really impressed with it. And we just want to do a follow-up because sometimes on here we'll get talking about something and before we know it, it's been 6-9 months. We don't bring it back up, but maybe we've been using it. Maybe we ended up buying it like this.
Right.
And it's one thing that we wanted to do a little bit of follow-up on.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and move into your gas surpass.
Yep. All right. So this is a guitar that I have really been looking at, especially with these new PRS DGT SEs that have came out. So I've really compared those DGT SEs to a core PRS CE24. So that's what I want to talk about. The PRS CE24, the pros, the cons, where it sits, and if it's a gas or pass. So just give me a moment.
Okay.
I'm going to set it up. So the CE24, it has nitro finish on it. It's got American pickups. They're the 8515 It's got a push-pull pot to split the tap the coils. Um, it's got just a volume and a tone. It's got a awesome PRS tremolo on it, bolt on neck. Let me think. It's got, I think it's pattern wide thin or something like that neck on it. So it's not the real chunky one. It's kind of more fast playing. They've also got a semi hollow and just a normal solid body guitar. Roughly like $2,700. Something I've really looked at because I feel like it would be the ultimate like Swiss Army knife guitar. Like I said, I've looked at the PRS DGT SE, and I've kind of thought about that too. But the fact that this has American pickups, it's got that bolt-on neck to give it a little more like twanginess to it. It does have hotter pickups than something like a DGT, more modern pickups, I should say. But we've played one. We went to a store, so I had the chance to play a solid top or a solid body and a semi hollow. And I don't know about you all, but semi hollow is something I got to get used to. Like the responsiveness just is not there immediately,
Right.
but the note just blooms.
Yep.
So what was weird is I preferred the humbucker sounds, the full humbucker sounds, I think on the semi hollow.
Yeah.
But I preferred the split sounds on the solid body.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where like I don't know if you can have your cake and eat it too. Is it too perfect of a guitar? Can it do just too much and it's not like specifically awesome at one thing? I know I'm going to offend a lot of people by saying that. I love the guitar. I think it's phenomenal. I'm just trying to figure out how it fits in the like tonal spectrum and if it's a total gas or pass for me. I think it is a complete gas. But I got to figure out how it would like measure up to my current guitar setup.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts?
So yeah, we've played some. I remember that one time we actually got to play the solid body and semi hollow back to back, and we were together at the store at this time, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think we played through a PRS HX. No, it's the Hendrix amp.
HDRX.
Yeah,
is that it?
Yeah, it's the 20-watt amp or whatever.
And I really liked it. I actually liked the solid body a little more than I liked the semi hollow for me, but I think some of that is that responsiveness. I'm used to the immediate responsiveness.
Right.
And I think for me, the pickup options, I liked the opposite.
Really?
Yeah, I think I liked the single coils in the out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And my big question to you, I guess, about it is, how do you feel about the 24 frets?
I mean, I don't have to have it.
Right.
22 is just fine.
Yeah.
Like I there's no need for what I play. There's no need for it. But
right. Do you feel like that's moving your pickup closer to the bridge?
I know.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, I do wish PRS would come out with a CE22 like they used to have.
Me too.
They used to have one.
Yeah.
I think it would be, you get a little more bass out of that neck pickup, and it would feel more like a full sound to it. But I haven't played them side by side to know.
No,
they say it has a big impact, but I haven't tried it.
Yeah. Well, I haven't played them side by side either, but I've definitely played lots of guitars with 3 pickups, and whenever you move that pickup around, it's definitely going to change it a lot.
Right.
I do think most 24 fret guitars I play, there's a pretty significant difference in that neck pickup sound to the 22 fret version of the same guitar.
Right.
Every piece of wood's different, every pickup's different, every situation is different. Don't get me wrong. Not saying it's worse or better. But just saying it's different.
It's just different.
And we're a little more classic players.
Right.
So I know that maybe that 24th fret might be something that you've had in the back of your head that you're like, oh, I wish it was 22 frets.
I got to be honest. When I've played a guitar with 22 frets, I've never thought, I really have to have 2 more frets.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you got 22, I don't know.
So on Strats and Tellys, if they're 21 frets, does it bother you?
No.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. It doesn't ever bother me whenever they're classic strats and tellies.
Unless you're playing like Journey and you're like playing some lead lines way up there.
Yeah.
Like to me,
Once in a great while, I think, oh, I wish I had that 22nd fret because I want to hit that D or bend up to an E, and you just got to bend way harder.
yeah,
There is a couple occasions that does happen
yeah,
in like a set. But generally speaking, if I'm going to be playing that, I'll just switch to a different guitar.
right,
You know, it's usually not a telly and a strat sound that I'm going for during those moments.
yeah.
But as in gas or pass, let's get back to the subject here, folks. Sorry about that. So getting back to gas or pass, for me, I think that I've got enough guitars that are kind of doing all the things I want it to do that I think it's going to be a pass for me. However, right now you're kind of on the hunt for that guitar that can do a humbucker and kind of a split sound. I don't want to say a do-it-all, but something that's got multiple sounds. It's kind of a do-it-all.
Yeah.
So you can ride one guitar for most of the set that you're playing right now. Because
Right.
I think right now you're having to hop between two guitars basically all set.
I got an SG and either a Strat or a Telly, depending on the type of songs we're playing that night.
Yeah.
That I choose between. Which honestly, it's inspiring because I go from one to the next and it makes me play different.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. But for some of the places we play,
Yeah.
I just need one guitar.
Yeah.
And like I don't want to have to worry about two.
I'm not entirely sure. So there's the DGT SE. And
then for those of you, by the way, who are like saying there's an S2 line, I'm fully aware.
yeah.
I've played the S2s, and granted, I haven't played the new ones with the American pickups in it.
Right.
But I've just never been inspired by them. I don't know if it's like, I know it's supposed to be nitro lacquer on them. And I know that like there's supposed to be that intermediate between a SE and a core, but I've just never like truly been inspired by one. And I don't know what it is. There's just, it's almost like it feels like there's frills, but the actual guitar itself doesn't, to me, it's not worth the jump from SE to S2.
Yeah.
Like, that's just my personal feeling. And maybe that's a hot take, I don't know. But,
I kind of feel like one of these lines, S2 CE,
is going to go away.
is going to go away.
I mean, it might. But what I'm trying to get at is, to me, the CE, I mean, that is worth the price jump from an SE.
I agree.
An S2, I don't necessarily feel that way.
Yeah, I've played multiple S2s at this point, and I remember playing one that I really liked a lot. I liked it as much as I liked the CEs. Did I like it more? Not really. It was just different.
Right.
But I played a lot of S2s that I just didn't get along with real well. I've played some CEs I wasn't a big fan of.
Right. I mean,
But-
it's very guitar dependent, but usually a CE is going to be more inspiring than the S2, and for the price differential, to me, it's not. I mean, it's negligible.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Good job. Big words.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's going to be a pass.
Yeah.
But if I was in your shoes, it would be a gas. What's it fall for you, though?
Between that, the DGT SE, if I had to choose one, I would go CE, but my pocketbook tells me otherwise.
So is this a gas or pass, dude?
Man. I think it's a gas.
Okay.
I had to think long and hard about
Did
that
you guys
one.
see that steam coming out? All right, we'll move to my gas or
All
pass.
right.
So this one will be way easier.
Okay.
Okay. So we've went down this road, or I've went down this road this year of the Klon.
Mm-hmm.
So I've not been a big Klon guy in the past. I've liked them, and I see their purpose, and they've been good, but I've never had one living on board. And I've picked up a bunch of them this year. Several of them this year.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one that I was looking at the other day because I haven't played it, but I lied to you. I have played it once.
Okay.
It's the J. Rockett Steve Stevens Rockaway Archer.
Yep.
So that's the Klon inspired pedal that J. Rockett has, and it's got the sliders for the EQ. So they're about $200 new, give or take a little bit.
Right.
Have you looked into this pedal? What's your thoughts? You're a Klon guy. You're actually using a Klon style pedal right now, almost as an always on.
It's always on.
So you're definitely, in the camp of these things. What's your
Right.
thoughts on it?
I'm bare bones person, and the sliders just give me some anxiety. And you know what? Lex Pro works great, but some things it doesn't solve. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like EQs. I respect them.
I was just getting ready to say you like EQs.
I like EQs. You know what? I'm interested, but I gotta try it. Like,
Okay.
I'm nervous to try it because I think if I do, then I'm sold.
So, how do you feel about I forgot how many bands it is. It's like 6 bands.
It's like 6, yeah.
So, how do you feel about a 6-band EQ versus up here? I've got one of the Germanium Tumnus Deluxes, and it's got a 3-band, bass, mid, treble.
Right.
Does that feel better to you,
Yes.
or worse than the sliders?
100% better.
See, isn't that interesting? I think the sliders feels better.
You play with an EQ all the time. That's the difference.
I think that's the difference. Is I got a G7 on my board all the time.
Right.
And I work with those sliders and moving them. So that feels really comfortable with me. But whenever I get to bass, mid, treble, it's such a wide frequency I feel like that I'm working with. It actually seems a little harder for me to nail down.
I think that, like, the bass, mid, treble is... so that mid control can make or break you.
Yeah.
Because there are some mid controls that it's low mids.
Yep.
And some mid controls that's high mids. And some is like a tube screamer and it's just dead in the middle.
Right.
So I think that mid control can make or break a pedal. But Wampler knows the sweet spot.
He's got it.
Wampler knows the sweet spot.
We all know that Wampler stuff's amazing.
Yeah.
We are definitely high supporters of Wampler. We've got no affiliation with the dude. We've got no affiliation with any company out there, just to be completely clear.
Hey, have you seen our production? I think they know.
They know. They're fully aware. But Wampler stuff's just always on the mark. However, Rockett stuff that I've played has always been on the mark too.
Right.
So for me, I'm going to just, this is my gas or pass to bring up, but for me, this thing's a complete gas.
Okay.
I'm really interested. I love EQs.
Right.
I've been enjoying the Klon style
You better
thing.
tape down those sliders.
Oh, dude. I'm going to be moving them. Every gig, I'm going to be moving them.
Yeah.
I take my
Nothing
G7
inspires me more when I'm playing a song to keep moving some sliders on a pedal.
No.
I tell you what, that really makes me want to play guitar.
It's just setup. When you show up to the room, you listen to what your amp and everything sounds like. I'm going to be tweaking those knobs too. I'm going to go down to my pedals. I'm going to adjust things to get it to sound like I want to in the room. And then I'm going to be done for the night.
Okay.
You never said, is it a gas or pass?
It's pass. I don't... To me, there's almost something romantic about a pedal that's just got, a tone or a treble, gain, and volume. You play it, and that's your sound. Okay. If you can... But it takes a lot more, like, trying different pedals out to get the right one. Versus this, it sounds like it could be, just the perfect Swiss Army knife. So
yeah, when I played it, I was really impressed. I think it was the first Klon style pedal that I played that I was really surprised about and enjoyed.
Yeah,
I played it I think before the Tumnus. The Tumnus is another one that really surprised me too.
I think so. Let me clarify. If I didn't have, because I got a Wampler Tumnus, and just a regular one, and if I didn't have that, maybe I'd be interested in this pedal, but I'm not.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move into your main topic then.
All right. Main topic is kind of a follow-up on what you just talked about with the IR-2.
Yeah.
So, he went with the IR-2. Well, I went with the Pod Express.
Man, battle of the beasts here, right?
Yeah, and to be completely transparent with you, we have not A-B'd these at all. I'm going to tell you why I think this is the better option than yours.
Okay.
All right?
Cool.
All right. So I bought this year. I thought it was too cool to pass up because not only do you have different amps, and this is a great... I
like the little clicky sound it
I know.
makes.
Listen. All right. Not only does this serve as a great backup amp, like yours, but it also, if my pedal board goes down, guess what? Just click this thing in.
Yeah, I'm not worried about my whole pedal board going up. We talked about this in a past episode. I'm not worried about that.
Maybe you're not,
okay.
But you don't have my luck.
Okay, that's true.
We've also...
yeah, we've established that he's got horrible luck, folks.
We've talked about how everything that can go wrong will go wrong with me.
Yeah, Okay, continue. I'm sorry to
So,
interrupt.
sorry, this is a little more foolproof.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if everything goes down,
Yeah.
and it will,
Yep.
this thing's got my back. So, it's got a little battery compartment. All right. So, I know yours takes a 9 volt, mine takes some double A's. It still has a headphones jack on the side. It's even got, look at that little volume knob.
Yeah. It's like
Watch
an old
out.
Sony Walkman.
Yeah. So just hold up. It's fine. It's got, you can load IRs and stuff like that too. The awesome thing about this pedal that is a little different than yours, you can do tap tempo with your effects. You hold both these switches down. You actually have a tuner in here. You have 21 presets in this thing. Like as far as amps go.
You can just flip through them with your pedals?
So you go
Foot switches?
bingo, and then you toggle.
For 21, how's it?
And then you go bam, and you're back.
How does it reflect what preset you're on?
So it's the lights change. So like
There's 21 lights on that thing that
No.
changes? You have to memorize
all
where
right,
they're
so
at?
there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lights on one thingamajig.
Yep.
And you've got 7 different colors all the way around.
Okay. Okay.
That equals 21, right?
You're right.
Math, 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 math.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, you can switch through all these different amp models, and it's got different IRs for each one,
Okay.
different speakers,
Yeah.
paired with it. So you can choose to have just the amp, just the cab stems,
Yeah.
just the effect.
I didn't go into that, but you can use just the amp, just the cab
Okay.
stems and all that stuff
But
with this.
where I'm trying to get at with this, you got a bunch of presets.
That's impressive.
You got a tuner, you got amps, you got effects. It's got a cool click, and I played this thing, and I'm so impressed. And I don't want to be.
No.
I really don't want to be impressed by this because I just want to plug into an amp. But as a failsafe for me,
Yeah.
that sucker's hard to beat.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I am interested in trying that and kind of A-Bing.
We need to swap probably.
We probably do.
Take them to a gig and swap.
Now, here is the one thing, and we've talked about this, you and I. I don't know if I've talked about it with you all. The one thing I was nervous about is it is a plastic casing.
Yep.
But feel that plastic.
Well, that's a good plastic.
That's some quality plastic.
You know what? I'm not super worried about it. If it was a daily driver and I was going to be taking this to every single gig and stomping on it every single gig I'm going to, maybe I'd be a little more concerned with it. But it's not. It's your backup.
Right.
Or it's a practice tool that's going to be set on a desk somewhere.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too concerned with it.
Right.
It's pretty robust, really.
It is. And, for what I use it for practice or, an amp on stage if it fails, it works great. And here's another thing I should say about it. I'm not too worried about the plastic casing because what's going to happen is when my amp goes down, there's going to be one amp setting I'm going to have on here, and I'm not going to be cycling through all the presets.
Yeah.
I'll be real honest. Like, I might have 5 different presets that I'll decide to have in here, and that's going to be all I'll need.
Yeah. That's kind of like me with this, is my thoughts is the 2 presets I'm going to get out of it is all I'm going to need. We can talk a little bit, kind of our thoughts with it too now, I guess. But I just need 2 amp presets. So if everything absolutely went down, I'd have a reverb, I'd have a clean sound or like edge of breakup sound, and then I'd have a dirty sound. Even if my whole board went down, I could at least finish a gig with that. Most likely, this is the amp goes down. I throw it down next to my board with an extra power cable and patch cable. And I just set it to one sound, literally, and I use my board for all my other stuff. Is that kind of what your thoughts is? If your amp went down, you would do?
Yeah, if my amp went down, I'm going to use this as a standard sound, and I'll have my pedal board to help me out. But, like I said, this is also a backup for my pedal board.
Yeah.
So I probably will have maybe 5 other presets that are going to be literally just what I would need on the gig.
Yeah. Like a slapback delay with a drive sound and then like a longer delay.
So like I said, 5 amp sounds on one preset and maybe the 5 others with the, actual effects I would need.
Yeah.
And then call it a day.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I went with this, just because it's so user-friendly and I've got terrible luck.
Yeah, you do.
I needed more options than what that could give me. But I'm going to let you know, I'm super impressed with these sounds.
You needed more options because you wanted to cover your pedal board too. So I think for the guy or gal, whatever, that's buying one of these pedals as a backup or a practice tool, that wants to replace their whole board with it at the same time, that's the way to go. If you're only looking for an amp replacement or just a practice tool that you can put your pedal board in front of, this is the way to go.
And I do want to say the pros and cons of it.
Their sizes are very similar.
They are. And mine's top mount jacks and yours side. So
Right.
As far as pedals
It's going to
go,
take up about the same
about
space.
the same space. You know, I think something else to mention is, yes, this has more flexibility. There's no denying it.
Yep.
It does. But that is probably more robust and more durable.
Yeah, I think that, you know, after the apocalypse, you know, Greg Koch always says that Telecasters will be the only thing that's in tune. You know, but I'm pretty sure Boss pedals will still be working, so you'll be able to plug them into a Boss pedal.
Yeah.
So I don't ever worry about a Boss pedal.
Right.
Whenever I bought this, there was an option to use it by an extended warranty,
And you laughed at
I
it.
was like,
And you said, that's funny.
no, it's a Boss pedal. Don't get me wrong, there is Boss pedals that definitely go out. So
Oh, the lights will go out, but it'll still work.
yeah, sometimes an LED goes out, but it'll be fine. However, I don't think either one of these pedals is a bad option for practice tools or for a backup. Also, to be honest with you, after plugging it in to a main sound system, these things sound great.
Yeah.
Or this one does anyway. I'm sure, I know you've told me that yours sounds great also.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It's, if you get stuck, you show up to a gig and they're like, hey bud, this is silent stage only.
Yeah.
You know, or you're in a band like, you know, your situation you got going on, a lot of your guys are going direct.
Right.
If you get there and they're like, no, you really do have to go direct. We're not having any
Here you
live
go.
sound. Like, oh shoot. Without this,
Yeah.
I don't have an option.
Yeah.
These are, you know, incredible options we've got today.
Yeah.
We wanted to do a follow-up on them because honestly, I think you said it the other day and I agree. You said that's the best purchase you've made all year.
Yep.
And I think this is the best purchase I've made all year.
So I also got this used for a heck of a deal.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd be stupid not to buy it. And then I bought it and I was like, that's the best amount of money I've spent all year long.
Yeah. And we both bought quite a bit of gear this year and went through quite a bit of gear. But I think it says something about what these manufacturers are doing and how they're coming out with things. I think we've...
It's just so convenient.
Yeah, I think...
And that's one of the reasons why, like, everyone's going direct, is it's so convenient.
Well, some of it's convenient. You know, we've talked about it a million times, and I don't want to harp and go down a whole nother road here.
Right.
This episode's been long enough for you guys, but it's not convenient to menu dive. It's not convenient to jump through a bunch of hoops to try to find your sounds. But situations like these, and I guess we're going to call these modelers, you know, these things are convenient. These things work out really well for us.
Right.
I think they're finding the balance between convenience and feature sets. And that's what's really big here. They're both really well featured. Yours has a few more features than this one has. And this one, like physically, I think has a little bit different features than that one. And for me, I need something really good and dummy proof. So I don't want to have to be thinking about it too much. But my situation, what I'm looking for is different.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to go wrong with either pedal.
No, you'll be happy with both. It'll just be down to, do you want something with more feature sets that's, you know, got more tweakability, or do you want something that is going to be kind of simple to use, but also more robust that you don't have to worry about?
And we both kind of went back and forth on which one. There was a time period where I wanted the pod,
Yeah.
and you wanted the IR-2.
Yeah.
And we flipped, and I called him one day. I was like, hey, I just bought that IR-2. We'll find out. And then wasn't a month later, and you were like, hey, I just bought that pod.
Right. I mean, we looked at both for a long time.
So we want to kind of do a follow-up on it. We both were kind of gassing for him. And boy, they were the right call, I think.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Have you guys tried these things out? Or do you guys have another option that you've kind of been using that kind of fits the bill well too? Because we're always looking for something new.
Yeah. Give us your opinions, comments down below, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you guys next week.